All right, so Jen, do you want to take it away?
Yeah, so let's get started. Let's call to order at 5:05 p.m. So with us, we have myself, Jen Miller, Fred Fenton, Michael Fogliano, as regulars, and Anthony Vesiglio and Lori Walker as alternates. And we have a guest in the audience, Sean Mastriani. So absent right now, we have Amy and I'm missing somebody.
Jim.
And Jim Quarto. Yep. So we'll proceed right now, and I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, we don't need to seat anybody because we have 3 out of 5.
Yeah, if there's any votes, you can bring the number
Yep.
up, Jen, but there's no requirement to.
Okay. We don't, we shouldn't have any of that. So let's call to order at 5:06, and I'm gonna call for a motion to review the agenda from February or any comments on the agenda and put those into the minutes. Somebody make a motion to accept the minutes from February?
I make
When
a
I looked
motion to
online, I
accept
did
them.
not see them posted.
Oh, yep, they're posted, and in fact, there's a duplicate, which I'll get to in my next comment, but so the minutes from February are posted. If nobody has had a chance to read them, I can just briefly go through. There's just one
Jen,
typo, which
sorry,
was in
I'm looking at the website right now on February 20th, right?
not the special meeting,
February
which
5th.
she has on the
February 5th.
regular meeting. Just go back
Yeah,
up
February 5th.
one,
Got it.
go up
Okay,
one.
there we are.
Yeah,
Yep, got it.
yeah, yeah. So let me give you a minute to check those out. There is one typo in there, which was an "and" versus an "on." So, but it's immaterial, in my
This is
opinion.
Anthony. I did read the minutes, so I can vote on them, okay?
All right, thanks, Ann.
Mhm.
Let me know when you've got to look at it, and I'll take a motion.
I'm good, Jen, and I will make a motion to approve the minutes of February 5th, 2025.
Thank you, Michael. Do you have a second?
I second it. Fred.
Thanks, Fred. I'll just say that there's that one typo is an "and" versus an "on," and is there a motion to approve? All in favor?
Motion to approve? Oh, yes.
Yeah, the motion's
Aye.
on. Aye.
Aye.
Good. Motion moves. Those are approved. One note on the website there for the Old Lyme page is that we had on there, you'll see a subsequent meeting, which is categorized on the website as a special meeting. That meeting was never held because we didn't get it in time for the FOIA timelines, and that meeting was never held. So I've sent a message to the minutes people at Old Lyme to take that down because that meeting was never held. But it is posted on the website, so we'll take that down.
In the past, Jen, when we've had that happen, I've sent a cancellation notice in lieu of minutes to Vicky, and she's posted those.
Oh, good.
Right.
Okay.
But did they have this is Anthony, did they have the 10 o'clock meeting? Oh, it wasn't a meeting, did they have a 10 o'clock gathering?
No, they had nothing. Yeah.
Oh, so they didn't meet with the city attorney and the engineer? That never happened, okay. No.
My memory is the
did.
agenda wasn't posted in time, so that we couldn't
Just
hold the meeting.
me and Mike.
That's correct.
Just the two of them, yeah.
Yeah, two things, Lori and Anthony, two things. Lori, yes, correct. The meeting, the minutes should not have been posted because it was not FOIA compliant. But then alternatively, Anthony, Fred was able to meet with the engineer himself, but that was not a meeting. It was just him meeting with them in regular course of business.
So there's some interaction. I was confused, so thank
Yeah.
you for the clarification. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll straighten that out. Okay, good. So, let's just check in with our public and see who we have in public from for attendance. I know we have Sean Mastrani on the line. Is there anybody else from the public that is online? Okay, having heard none, any public comment? Sean, would you like to make a public comment?
So I'm interested in joining the commission, so I'm here to attend the meeting, and hopefully I filled out all the paperwork for the town hall correctly, and I can be put on the agenda, if you'll have me, next selectmen's meeting.
We'll see. We'll see.
Thanks for participating. Great. Okay, so we're gonna start now with old business. So has anybody on the commission had any updates or I'm sorry, rather correspondence from the public? Okay, hearing none, we'll go on. So let's go on to updates. So Fred, we'll probably start with you as the project update person. Let's see how we're doing with the McCulloch properties.
So, last week, I think, a week ago, maybe more, myself, Michael, Dick Gates, the surveyor, Tom Metcalf, the engineer, and Mike Carey, town attorney, met here in Town Hall to discuss the McCulloch projects. And Tom Metcalf and Dick Gates were the original surveyor and engineer on this project, and so they're very familiar with the property and what we're doing. And they agreed to re-engage with the project and complete the work in order to get us to before the Zoning Board of Appeals, so we can get a variance for access and help us right on through with planning and development, so we can make two separate deeds and ultimately convey to Habitat. And so they have since sent us some revisions to the original maps. They're minor. And they have been talking with Michael Carey to do whatever it needs to do, that we need to do to get in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And just so you know that the application has to be given to the Zoning Board of Appeals the first Thursday of the month, which is tomorrow. And so it's probably not going to happen this month, and to be reviewed at the, I think, third Thursday of the month. So I spoke with Michael Carey this morning, and he said, sorry, I had this other project, but I'm picking up right now. I said, well, unless some miracle happens, I don't think we're going to be on the calendar for this month, but I made it clear that we should shoot for the first, before the first Thursday of next month. So
Right.
So that would be April, that we could get in front of the Zoning Board of Appeals. And the two major issues, if you will, that they're addressing, one is, what do we need for access? Do we need an easement? Are the existing documents okay? And the second issue is who are the abutters? So one view is it's just the town, because these two lots are totally surrounded by other town property. Or is it every property owner that abuts the McCulloch property, which would be many?
Mm-hmm.
I can't answer that. The attorney will have to answer that in conjunction with Eric Knapp, the town zoning officer. And, you know, I encouraged and have been encouraging Mike Carey and Tom Metcalf to reach out to Eric Knapp whenever and however they want to. So, I mean, this is, I don't have the expertise to, you know, to answer these questions myself.
Mhm.
They are engaged by us to do this, so it shouldn't be an issue. There's been no stated objection to this project, so Mike said he'd get on it this morning. I expect to hear from him soon, and hopefully he will say, no problem, we got everything we need, and I will fly it as soon as I can, so we'll get before the zoning board of appeals in April.
Right.
At which
and-
point, he should have pretty much everything he needs for planning and zoning, but we'll see.
That is Mike Carey should have everything he needs.
Yeah, when we
Yeah.
met
Okay.
in town hall, they felt that they had everything. Tom Metcalf especially, who's very familiar with the process, said he thought,
Yeah.
I think we have everything we need. You know, the
Okay.
zoning board of appeals will not want a lot of bells and whistles to grant the variance, because there's a clear hardship, and, you know, it's not like we're making money on this, and it's been within the purview of the town, it's been approved by the Board of Finance, so it should be pretty straightforward, but you need to get the proper paperwork, so.
Mm-hmm.
And they have, Jen, they have the full file at Sussman Shapiro because they did the original transaction that led to the creation of the open space and the transaction with the McCulloch family. So they have a very thick file on this. And it was one of Mike Carey's colleagues. And Fred, just, I think to the question of abutters, my sense is that the minimum number of abutters, other than the town itself, will be 95-1 Flat Rock, which is the northern of the two Hope-owned properties that abuts the eastern of the two building parcels.
Yeah, that's what I would think.
This is Anthony. I didn't think there was many, because I live in proximity to the property. I just think it's a good practice to be transparent. You just notify them, and if they have something to say, they might be very supportive, but, I mean, just do the notification and be clearly transparent. I mean, when you got nothing to hide, this is well publicized for years. That's my suggestion. Just notify the abutters. There's only a few, couple letters, and you're done.
Yeah, and what, Hope Inc., are they the current owners of the adjacent,
Yes.
Yes.
so they're happy with this, and we'll submit a letter, and so I'll keep you guys posted. Hopefully I'll hear something soon.
Fred, I had one other thought as we went through this. Since we met with the engineers and surveyor, we're going to want to request a fee waiver for this because it is affordable housing and it is intra-town.
Oh, I thought that was in the original. No, I know. Now you're right. Yeah. I know that we requested a fee, a waiver before, but now I understand it. We have to do it again.
And I actually think there's a provision in the ARPA grant that says you have to do a fee waiver.
Yeah, in the small city grant application, it's mandatory that you have fee waivers. So that's so that is something that we will need to explicitly detail for sure in the zoning board of appeals. I think application is Fred, that there can be no fees associated with this because it's affordable housing.
All right, well,
Again,
I will mention that again to Michael Carey whenever I speak with him, because I think they say in the application, you must submit your fee with the application.
Yeah.
And obviously, we won't be doing that.
Yeah, the town should provide a waiver status for it.
All right, well, that's a good point, Michael. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, and just for all grants that we may want to apply for, that will always apply. Permit and fee waivers are a standard practice for any state or federal grant. That it shows that the town supports it. So that's, one indication that you have some support behind what you're going to do for the town.
Okay.
All right, thanks, Fred. Good updates. Anything on the Kimmick and Grandview properties? Anything to do with that, or should we just move on?
We should move on. My thought is that we should not mention them until the McCullough is done, and whenever Dick Gates and Tom Metcalf have done with McCullough, then we should tend them to proceed to, Grandview and Kimmick, which they express their willingness to do.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of phase 1, phase 2, kind of making it.
All right.
Let's get some things done here first under our belt, and then move on.
So I'm good with the sequence on that. Let me just add one thing to keep in
Sure.
mind, which is some of the funding that we're going to use to do the pre-development work on Kimmick and Grandview is coming from our budget, the Affordable Housing Commission budget, and at least some of that money was rolled over, and we're approaching another budget year. So it was rolled over from fiscal 23 to
23.
24,
Mhm.
or 24 to 20. So it was rolled over once, and we don't want to have to roll it over again. So it would behoove us to spend the money that was rolled over before June 1st of this year.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, well, when it warms
So
up.
I
then
don't
we're-
expect a favorable request to roll it a second. I don't expect a favorable response if we ask to roll it again.
Totally understand. Yeah, I agree with you, Michael. Yeah. I did not forget about that. It was just well, when I said move on, it's more like, like today's March, let's just go with it. And
Yeah,
but
I'm
yeah,
good with
I-
the
yeah.
phasing and the
So-
sequence of that, definitely.
yeah.
Stay focused.
My discussion with Metcalf and Gates is that it was not going to be a lot of money to finish up what they need to do on McCullough. I think
No.
certainly well under 10,000, probably a few grand each. Maybe, I don't know, under 10, maybe 8, who knows? But the balance of that money, once we get a firm idea of how much that will be, could be spent on Kimmick and Grandview, is my thinking.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, good. Well, that kind of takes us to from the updates from Fred on those properties to any other development opportunities that anybody else may have come into play with over the last month or so. I have not heard of any personally. The tax office has not really enlightened me onto any additional to what we've been looking at. Anybody else have any development opportunities that they see?
Jen, I don't have any new ones, but we had those 2 parcels up in by Rogers Lake, those little 10th acre ones.
102.
Yep. I forget.
Yeah, I personally have not followed up on either of those 2 properties. Fred, have you any more information on
I have
those?
not. Can you
Okay.
give me the addresses on them? And
Was
I'm trying to find it in my notes, but I'm recalling Avon Court or something like that. Does
I
that
think
sound right, Jen?
I think one of them was 102. Yeah, I'll have to send it to you guys. I'll send it out.
yeah,
But it's
102, I think, is the address of the Mile Creek
Trails.
property.
That's the Mile
But
Creek one.
It could be a
yeah,
coincidence.
no, it was trail something. So yeah, let me look back and I'll check it out. Yeah, let's follow up on that. I know we want to put a I thought we did put a closure to that 2 months ago on that one lot, which I think Michael was brought to your attention by Martha as far as this is a town-owned property, what are we doing with it? And it looked to be a suitable lot.
There was on Mile Creek, off 102, there is about an acre lot, but we looked at that.
Oh, not that one. No. This is the one on
Okay.
Rogers Lake. The one on Rogers
Oh.
Lake that Martha turned Michael onto. That was uh yeah. Anyhow, let me back up on that, Michael. Good call, because I'll look it back up. I think we let that slide a little bit. It was right off as you go in Rogers Lake. I think it was like on the left-hand side.
Yep.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I just can't remember the address of it. Okay. So as for let's if there's no other business around development opportunities, let's move on to funding. So the small cities business development grant so is still underway for this year. There hasn't been much movement so far, which I would expect by the end of this month is from the last year experience, which was the first year experience for us. So from the first year experience of us, this month will be the month where the state starts to post the opportunities for the small cities block grant. And that would be something that we would be eligible for as being a small city and under the qualifications for the state, under 50,000 residents. And so we would be able to apply for that. Again, my hope will be that we do apply for that and it goes better than last year, and that the state has their stuff together better than last year also, so that we could make some sense out of what the application involves. I've not had any further information from the Board of Selectmen as far as a grant writer opportunity for the town actually hiring a professional grant writer. So what I want to do right now, just in lieu of that, absence of that information, what I think we should do is just because it's such a tight time frame. This is literally March till May 31st. This is the only time that we can apply for this. So what I think we should do is just proceed on as if we will have no grant writer. We should do it ourselves and just go and jump into it. And we need to have the definitely the support of the town hall staff, because we're going to need information for this application as far as previous projects that have been completed with the money from the state. So what they want to see is that the town of Old Lyme has executed projects that the state has given them money for, and they've executed them and it's been successful. So if we can show like we built a bridge, over like that Mile Creek Bridge, or, there's a few examples that we could use. But we need to have the numbers, we need to have the information, we need to have all of that stuff. So it's a very detailed application, as you could imagine. So it's like 150 pages of information that you have to fill out, unfortunately, just to prove that Old Lyme can actually execute a project when they say they're going to execute a project. So anyhow, like I said last month, if there's anybody that wants to, on the commission that wants to help out, we can kind of parse out the information that we need to gather. However, when it comes to the town of Old Lyme, I'll be the point person that goes to the town of Old Lyme to kind of gather the information. We want to make it seamless and very easy for the staff at the Old Lyme Town Hall to not be, you know, coming at it from a million different people or four or three or two different people, you know, to get information from them, from the budget office, the finance, town clerk, zoning, tax, etc. So, and all of those people will need to be involved to some slight extent. You know, just look up information, give it to me. I'll put it in the application, and that's all. So, but
So,
what
oh, go ahead.
no,
So,
just
Jen,
what it came down to last year was just that we didn't have a complete application because we didn't have the information correctly. So that was what was the hang up last year. So we just
So
need to
that's one
have
of
a
my-
complete application.
So we can't just copy a lot of last year's
No,
application as well?
no.
Okay.
Yeah. Last year we did not have enough detailed the detail that they want is almost ridiculous. It's basically it's called a small cities application, but it's actually geared toward like New Haven or Bridgeport. It's not geared toward a town like Old Lyme, you know, or even East Lyme, like even they're bigger than us, but it's not geared toward a small town, even though it's called a small cities grant. The information they want is like these numerical codes from things that our town hall has no idea what these numerical codes mean. There's information. It's 150 pages of information that like there's no way that a
Keep saying
small
that.
city
You keep-
could do this. Yeah. Yeah. So and the towns that get these grants, if you look back on the grant, people that have succeeded in getting this grant money, they do it, they've been doing it for 20 years. It's the same people, they get the same money, they get, you know, $2 million, you know, every year, same thing. But they're professionals. They're good at it. But we are not. We've never submitted it except for last year. And so, but I'm going to be determined that we're going to do this because there's going to be some way that we can overcome this bureaucracy and do this. So it's going to happen.
So,
This could be our year. We'll see.
Jen, I have a few questions and comments. One, when are you coming back to Connecticut?
I'll be back in Connecticut for the April meeting.
Okay. And any chance that this will be canceled like every other federally funded program in the United States?
No, this is a state-run program, so
Okay.
yeah, and it's been in existence for a long time, so I don't think it's a very small amount of the budget, and it's never really gone up, so relative to other things, it's one of those things that you pass over and just say, yeah, it's good.
And do you agree do you think as I do that this would be the perfect project for a new board member to get involved with?
Are you throwing Sean under the bus?
Oh, no.
Oh,
I
okay.
would never do that. I didn't even think of that. I'm sorry, Sean. I didn't know. You know, I'd be willing to help, but I would like to sit down with you and see what it involves.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, any
get
board
back?
member, and in fact, what we could do, let's just I'll throw this out there. What we might want to do is like maybe we could have a special meeting once I get all the information in hand, and I talk to the people at state, like all in the HUD office at state, and we could have a complete set of information of what they want from us to submit a complete application on time. And then we could have a brainstorm session and just knock it out in a couple of hours, you know, as far as who does what and kind of thing. So I would be very much open to doing that and having a few people from our commission get together and do that, brainstorm it, and just you know, tell the town of Old Lyme exactly what information we want. So we're not running all over from the town clerk to the zoning, to the tax office, to Martha, to, you know, to all these people, bothering them with all this stuff. We submit one request. It's free and clear. They know what we want. We know what we want. And then the submission will be flawless. And that is usually due Memorial Day weekend. So May 31st is usually when that is due. So we have April and May basically to do this.
All right.
Jen, 2 suggestions for resources. So one is, for the grant writing aspect of it is Beth Sebilia's team out at CHIO, because I think they're building that capability. And the second,
Oh, interesting. Okay.
this is a Department of Housing. This is under the Office of Department of Housing, State Department of
Yes.
Housing, right?
Yes.
Right, so they have a person on staff up there. His name is Ben Lovejoy, and his job is to help the towns, not necessarily with any particular grant, but just to be the liaison for the towns to interact with Department of Housing. And he's the guy that, when things were confused last year with getting the right forms and documents, he's the one that kind of sherped it for us and connected the dots inside of the Department of Housing. He was my contact, and it's very good.
Okay.
So
Well,
I'll
I
make
don't
sure
know
you
if
have his
Santoro,
contact.
yeah, I don't know if Santoro is still involved. I'm sure he is, but Santoro had given us another person, and he was that was an intern, and he did not know anything about what was going on. So
Ultimately,
yeah,
it was Ben that connected the dot for us.
yeah, okay,
Jen,
all right, yeah. Yeah, I'll talk
Jen,
to Santoro and see if Ben can help us out for sure.
Actually,
Jen?
I have Ben's contact information. I'll send it to you, and you can reach out to him directly.
Okay, thanks, appreciate it.
Jen, this is Anthony. Santoro just spoke about that last week on an open call across the state for housers. So he is still very instrumental, and they've staffed up since last year. So you might find a more knowledgeable person to work with you on this. And just to make your evening go well, the City of Milford's CDBG application is 7 pages long.
Whoa.
So I will tell you, you see how officious the state is, and in some ways, and what you said is absolutely correct, I've always thought it was highly discriminatory in the way that monies that are still all federal monies, the CDBG monies are like the old revenue sharing program, are treated differently by the state versus cities. Now, I don't know if Milford's an outlier or main line, but I know what that application is. It's ridiculous, 150 pages. Wow. Unbelievable. I feel so bad for you to put up with that. That's incredible.
No.
One thing.
Go ahead.
This Saturday, there is a meeting, I forget what they call it, Spring into Spring or something, at Town Hall for the heads of all the commissions.
Yes, March 8th, yeah.
Committees.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to be there, and I will ask anyone who will listen to me about, grant writing and grant writer and assistance and, what we can do about getting some help.
Yeah, and I think, Fred, that this particular application is not so much, there's not a lot of verbiage that's like not pleading for help. It's not like let me write an essay about how bad we are and we need to improve and that kind of thing. It's not a lot of pleading. It's just more informational as far as transaction information. So it lists, your population, your density, some state kind of codes that only certain people would know what these codes are and all this stuff. And then it goes into the details around your budget and how the town splits their budget. And then, various things, attributes around housing and attributes around things that, one would never know. Name 3 projects that you did in the last 5 years that you successfully completed with state money? You know, okay, well, where are we going to get that information from? So, you go to the town, you figure out what they need, and we built a bridge. We did, something on sidewalks. So it's just weird information that you wouldn't think that it would be on an application such as this. So it's just a conglomeration of abstract things that doesn't seem to me, and this is just my naivete on this, but it just doesn't seem to me that this would be something that you're judging a small city, when you're calling it a small city development block grant, that you would say, all right, prove to me that your small city is gonna, push this through. So they want you to be successful, and all of this is scored on points. And so they give you points for, like, is your application complete? You get an X number of points. Did you fill out this information? Points. Did you have 3 projects or 2 projects? You get points. So it's a totally point scored thing. It's a very, I don't know who invented this thing, but it's very weird. But anyhow, that's what we have to deal with. But I know that we can overcome it and we can do it. Just last year was just not the best, the best trial. And the state last year, to our credit, the state was very ill prepared to actually deal with this last year. Anyways, they delayed the application till June. The training was ridiculously hopeless. So anyhow, this year I'm hoping it will be better, and I'm hoping it will come pretty soon. There's no information on it yet, but and it's coming up on to March now, so we'll see. And everything's mandatory. If you don't attend, you are out immediately. So if you can't make the meetings that they say that you have to make, then you're automatically excluded from the group. So that's another thing. So that's why I need a little backup, because I may not be able to make some of the meetings because my son is being deployed. So at the end of March, on March 30th. So we'll see. All right, so that's that under and that was way too long. I'm sorry to take up all that time on funding opportunities. But let's go on to new business, because I know there's a bunch of things going on at the start of the year, as it always is. A bunch of new businesses going on. And so I'd sent out on very short notice, and I don't expect everybody has gone through the materials to read all this, but there's a few things going on coming out of the legislatures and in committee at the Connecticut State Legislature. So Michael, I don't know if you want to just maybe touch on the most important of those so far.
Yeah, and actually I can, Jenna, and I'll bundle them. So there's good news and bad news.
Right.
I'll start with the good news. And this covers 6992 and later 1308. So those are the good news initiatives. And what they amount to is that there's a Homes for Connecticut program being proposed that would provide funding to developers to create additional housing in recognition of the housing shortage in Connecticut. The way I interpret it, and this is strictly an amateur interpretation, is that so you have CHFA mortgages that go to home buyers. This looks to me like almost a CHFA type of program, which is a subsidized and guaranteed loan that would go to home developers if they develop housing that's needed, which is the smaller and affordable. So that's one of them. The other one has not a lot of teeth, but it actually establishes a starter home working group within the legislature to at least systematically, I hope, address that need and opportunity. And as you know, that is one of the key elements of our affordable housing strategy that we set out in the 2022 Affordable Housing Plan. So the good news there is the state is not just putting out mandates on it; they're looking at some funding and actually zeroing in on starter homes as a specific opportunity that matches with an opportunity and a need that we had identified for Old Lyme. So that's the good news. Okay. The other news is 6944. And actually, I'm going to rewind from 6944 back to 2023, the fair share legislation that essentially has a working group in the state assess the gap in housing for the state and allocate that, divide up that gap and allocate quotas to the towns. That was called the fair share legislation. It passed in a relatively benign form in 2023, which established a committee to just come up with a methodology and run some initial numbers on what it would look like. This originated with the Open Communities Alliance, a not-for-profit group. So that was passed into law in 2023, and that group has been active. It's a little behind schedule. They're due to, I think, publish some draft numbers later in the spring. But now we see 6944 come in, and what that does is that number that it's up with, and it modifies 830J significantly to mandate that the towns come up with a specific plan to meet those quotas. And it actually raises the bar again for towns that have whose AMI is 80% or greater of the state AMI, so that the top quintile of AMIs in the state are singled out for an additional planning step to specifically address through zoning how to meet the quotas that are sent down from the state, which essentially operationalizes the original fair share concept that was met with a lot of resistance. And what didn't come out in much of the testimony, but buried within that legislation, is what I see as something really significant, which is it gives standing to any quote unquote interested party that's defined as anyone with tax exempt status or a developer. So a developer of housing or an organization with tax exempt status whose mission is promoting affordable housing, to take the Department of Housing to court if they don't like the progress that's being made, and seek remedy there to compel remedies. So it's been opposed by both RiverCog, strongly opposed by RiverCog, and I included the testimony from Sam Gold in the packet, and it's also been opposed by the Connecticut Council of Small Towns, of which Old Lyme is a member. So
right. So essentially, Michael, in layman's terms, these groups, these organizations, be it either a 501c3 or a quote unquote developer, they could actually sue the town of Old Lyme to progress affordable housing under their terms.
Yeah, and I'll put a finer point on it. I didn't read it as it gives them standing to sue the town. It gives them standing to bring the Department of Housing to court and cause them
okay,
to have
okay.
to tell the town.
Okay.
But in any case, it's more than operationalized it. It's kind of weaponized it.
Yeah.
Right.
And given standing to not-for-profit groups that don't directly create housing that are quote unquote interested parties. So that's one of the basis for the opposition that's coming from Cost and from RiverCog. So
Yeah, and cost, you're talking about CHEO? CHEO is
no,
what you're
that's the
saying, cost?
Connecticut Council of Small Towns,
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
and Oldham is a member of that.
Yeah, and
So I
RiverCog.
think there's a story to tell here, and I would suggest for discussion that we might want to get together with the Planning and Zoning Commissions and anyone else who's interested from town and the Board of Selectmen, and potentially weigh in on this to
Mhm.
our elected officials. That would be Devin Carney for the House and Martha Marks for the Senate. And Martha is actually co-chair of the Housing Committee.
Mhm.
So she's
Mhm.
got a direct seat at the table in a leadership role.
Mhm.
So I think at a minimum, we might want to send something to our elected officials just to weigh in on the good news and bad news, support the allocation of funds. This is my
Mhm.
opinion. I'm not trying to speak for the group. We could discuss this,
Nope.
but
Yep.
at least weigh in on this, potentially, in a more balanced way than just opposing one of the bills, but potentially supporting some of the other legislation that's proposed. But
Yeah.
so that's it in a nutshell. I'll stop talking and turn it over
Yeah.
to you to discuss.
No, as always, good information, Mike, from the legislature. So, well, let's maybe open it up just for a few minutes and just see what others think. So, on this particular last issue, so we've got the good news from the initiatives for housing for Connecticut and the funding for developers and all that, and CHFA creating a little bit more funding there. But on the interesting news, I would say, on the fair share quotas, that's something that we've talked about for, gosh, over a year now, or we mentioned in passing for over a year, maybe 2 years now, actually, how this is just not tenable, or we believe it's not tenable for Old Lyme to adopt this Fair Share Act. But now that it's progressing out of committee, which I did not think it ever would, but now that it's progressing
But it's
that
still in
way.
committee.
Oh, it's still in committee? Okay, all right.
The Fair Share Committee was passed into law in '23, but everything I described just now is still in committee.
Still in committee, okay, all right. So thank goodness for that. So, in my opinion, are there, like, what are your discussion points? Anybody have any opinions on this as far as, not that we should progress to writing a letter, but what are thoughts from the commission on the Fair Share Act? And does anybody have any questions on what the Fair Share Act actually is? Because we may have missed a couple of people along the way.
Jen, this is Anthony. I agree with the concerns that Michael articulated. In fact, we just had a statewide meeting, and this came up. Michael Santoro addressed some of the issues like the fair housing, fair share issue. There was a report that kind of said that Hartford and Fairfield County would be targeted for resources for housing, because that's where the housing was needed. Michael Santoro wasn't supportive of it, and he thinks that it sounded as if it didn't have a lot of weight statewide, that particular report that came out. But the other bill that gets into really a state control of housing is the more dangerous one. So, in fact, I just sent out to my Housing and Legislative Committee for Public Housers, and to our lobbyist or paid communicator, asking for an analysis and some legal insight. So I have not gotten that report back, but I'll be more than willing to share it because it's public information. So I did do that because public housing has a lot of concerns about these same bills, and they line up a lot with what maybe even exceed a little bit Michael's concerns, because the state's trying to usurp authorities, and not just communities, but public housers, to be able to do their job. And they want to do a top-down controlling from the state, and that goes right at the heart of home rule. And that's that's a political battle that's going on. It's a philosophical battle, and the number 2 person, Rojas, State Representative Rojas out of East Hartford, he's really intent more controlling of where housing goes, and what impediments there are. And of course, I believe for a long time that zoning issues are red herring, and they're starting to find out that the issues are much deeper than just zoning. It was a nice talking point. It's been going on for 3 or 4 years. I said, this is a red herring. This is ridiculous. And again, no one wants to give up those authorities that have been vested in communities across 169 towns in Connecticut. So there's a big philosophical battle going on that's pushing some of these. Because they're raised bills, it doesn't mean they've come out of committee, and they might just die in committee, or they can be referred to other committees. So what will happen is that there's a chances are that this is going to be shopped around, and if it doesn't get out of all the committees, it doesn't move forward. It kind of can die on the vine, or just sit on a calendar, even if it gets voted out. But I'll share whatever information I get with the commission here, because we're concerned in public housing as much as you're concerned here in Ohio.
Okay, that's great. Thanks, Anthony. That's great.
You're welcome.
Very good. So any other thoughts on this? I would propose that it would behoove us to at least scribe a letter in support of the Rivercog and our affiliates there. So CC, Connecticut Towns of Council, whatever. So that would be almost a no-brainer. But Michael, would you say that we would how would that I'm unfamiliar with this territory, so would it go through basically the Board of Selectmen to do that, or we would just submit it to Rivercog and CCT, or how would that work?
I'll just cite history on that one, Jen, which is back in 23 when the original fair share was proposed. Raise you and we lose plan the first selectman, and I don't think we got to the point where there was a single letter from the town, but there was coordinated communication done from planning, zoning, and the Board of Selectmen and the Affordable Housing Commission. So if you and Fred would be interested in doing that, that's an avenue. There's nothing to stop an individual or a commission from writing, from communicating with our elected representatives either.
Michael, does Rivercog and the other Connecticut Small Cities organization, do they communicate to the Selectman's office?
Not Selectmen.
No.
Well, they let me cast that. Martha is on the board of the regional of Rivercog. By definition, the 17 towns that are part of that Council of Governments.
Okay.
All the chief executives for the 17 municipalities that are part of the Lower Connecticut River Valley Council of Governments, that's Rivercog, are the board for that COG. So yeah, they're in the loop on this. And
okay.
And RiverCog communicates directly with the legislature through testimony, as did Betsy Gara from Cost. And those two, their testimony I included in the packet.
And how about the Connecticut Small Cities organization that you mentioned?
That's Cost.
They have
Council of
relations.
Small Towns.
Do they have a connection with our selectman's office?
Yeah, they're on at least a mailing list. I don't know if there's as formal a relationship as there is with
Okay.
with the COG. I don't know if there's a board. So
Yeah,
I
they're
don't
not,
know
they're
the-
not so much a governance body, right, Michael?
no, they're a
Advisory.
working group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, working group, yeah. Yeah, I think the big player here is RiverCog, because they represent uh, almost like a lobbying body, if you will, to the state, and they represent
the state.
so many towns.
So I think the possibility here is that if we treat this like we did in 23, is to try to coordinate within the town to just come up with a coordinated, unified response from the town
Yeah.
to our elected reps.
Yeah.
Stephen Carney and Martha Morris.
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as just concurrence with RiverCog.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Other thoughts? Lori, we haven't heard from you. I'm not sure if you dropped off or not. Are you there? Do you have any thoughts on this?
No, just listening carefully. I
Okay.
don't have anything to add at this moment.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Sean, as an outside observer, any questions?
No, I think that I'm good. I do know that Representative Nolan, who's just over in New London, I believe he proposed a bill with actual fines if you don't meet a certain quota of affordable housing. So I don't know what number his proposed bill is, but I do believe he had that on his social media a week or so ago.
Okay. That's probably more in promoting the Fair Share Act. So that's in Bill 6944, right? So, okay. So, I think what I'm hearing is that Fred, maybe you and I should get together and create a statement of position, basically to put forward to the Board of Selectmen, um, to make a statement basically about our position on this in support of RiverCog's position, which is to oppose the the Fair Share Act as proposed, Bill 6944.
Yes. That sounds
Okay.
good.
I'm not sure if this should be, so my the naivete on these FOIA meetings should this be a motion? Should this be something that the board decides, or is this just something that Fred and I can just do? Michael, do you have any advice for us here?
I think that I'll give a lawyer's answer. It depends. So you have certain prerogatives, individuals do, but if you want to speak for the commission, I think then you probably want to put it before the commission to approve it.
I got you. So let's all discuss this. So I would be in favor of putting this forward as an Affordable Housing Commission of Old Lyme, Connecticut, proposal to support the RiverCog in their effort to defeat 6944.
I second your motion.
It was kind of just a proposal, but I didn't make a move, so
Your lips
but,
were,
yeah, legally, I'm not sure if that's correct or not, but
do you want someone else to make a more formal motion?
yes.
Another option, Jen, would be for you and or Fred just to connect with Martha and perhaps the planning and zoning commissions and see if they had interest in, and figure out, what voice will be used for whatever communication goes out, whether it's the town, individual commissions, or individuals.
Yeah, I think that's
That
I think that's
that
where
will
we're
kind of guide what you
confused,
need.
yeah.
Yeah.
And because there's so many different boards and 501c3 entities involved, I think that's why it's difficult for us as a small commission in a small town to kind of make kind of a stand. So it makes sense to have the entire town get on board, and it would be more beneficial for the entire Board of Selectmen to make I don't know, we call it a decree or a stand or a proposition to the larger regional council of governments to then say, this is what Old Lyme supports, rather than us just making a statement. So I think that makes a lot of sense. So, we're kind of winging it here, as you can tell. But
Jen, this is Anthony. I like, first of all, I think it's strategic and it's political. Board of Selectmen, let them bring in the parties that they would like to and do some kind of a resolution, if it's their desire to do that, the Board of Selectmen that represents the whole community, and they can invite whatever stakeholders they want to. But I do think it's so important, but it is a strategic move and it's political. And of course, those are two of the reasons why we have Board of Selectmen or elected representatives. They handle those kinds of questions. So I like your idea of getting together with them, letting them corral it. We can advise them, Michael could, or you could, or Fred could, encourage them to look at this a little bit more closely and begin taking some action or thinking about what they could do. And I know there's maybe a time frame that it has to be done because the legislature is moving fast on this stuff. So you can't sit around and ponder it for like 6 months. But I think you might do something like that. You and Fred might just stir their interest and see if they want to pursue anything. Because I would. I think we should do that as a community, not just as a commission, but as a community. I mean, it's a big
Yes.
change in the relationship between the state and municipalities. That's a big
Rivercog is the group and the lobbyist, and Martha's on the board of Rivercog.
Right.
And I'm wondering if we have to do anything. Certainly this is not going to fly under the radar.
Yeah, well, the difference is that we're a legal subdivision of the state of Connecticut. Rivercog is not. We're a municipality. That has a lot different legal standing in the state government and governance, in my opinion. They're a planning agency that assists legal entities, and we are,
So what
legally that standing.
So what would we, as a town, the Board of Selectmen, what would they do?
So I think what would be a good recommendation, this is Sean, and if I can't talk, you can just let me know. I think making a motion, first of all, I think like Martha, I consider her like the CEO of the town, and I think the communication should go through her, to the legislature, whoever. And so I think the motion should probably be that this commission gives Fred and Jen the permission to meet with Martha,
Yes.
to convey our thoughts and feelings about the proposal, requesting her to write a letter, you know, passing that along. I think it would go further coming from her. And as the CEO of the town, I'm sure she has good relationships with the state rep and the senator.
And that, her communication would go to our local reps.
However she wants
Which
to
you could
handle
also,
Yeah.
it could be submitted as testimony if there's gonna be any more hearings as well.
it. Yeah. And I think one of our founding principles allow for that advisory activities to go forward.
Right.
And
Nice.
I don't care if you're the full board or you go to the first select person, I think you gotta do something and just sit down in an advisory capacity. Because the founding principles do say that's what the commission's supposed to do, instead of conversation with I think CEO is a good way to do it. This is running a business here, running a town's running a business. I like that. Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, so I like that. Anthony, can you make a motion to that effect, allowing me and Jen to speak with?
Let's see, I'll move a motion that the Affordable Housing
Wait,
Commission.
Anthony's not seated, so, Fred, Michael, or myself have to do that, so.
Oh, I'm not officially seated at this meeting?
Yeah, because we already have a quorum, so.
No, it's not a quorum. I mean, even if you have a quorum, that's not the delineating thing, is they have a full commission. Alternates are supposed to sit to fill the commission out. It's not just a quorum. But that's okay. I won't get into that.
No, my
discussion.
bad. If that's true, that's my bad.
That's okay. I'll let someone else make the motion. Exclusionary.
I was thinking like Anthony as well, that you usually seat the alternates if other members aren't there.
Correct.
Great.
More the merrier. Make a motion.
So,
Motion to have
Fred, go ahead.
Anthony be seated.
You don't need a motion.
We don't need a motion? Oh, all
no,
right.
you don't.
All right, so help us out, somebody.
Jen and Fred, you can see, who do we have? We have 3 regulars here?
Yep.
Okay, so you can see both Anthony and Lori.
Beautiful. All right, Anthony, can you make a motion, please?
I'll try to help you out, okay? I make a motion that the Affordable Housing Commission of the town of Old Lyme direct its co-chairs to meet with the first select person in an advisory capacity to express our interests in working with the town on state proposals that would affect housing in the city or in the town. Good?
Maybe request that she communicates, create some sort of communication.
The reason I wouldn't do that is because it's not my prerogative.
Well-
The commission tell the CEO what to do.
Hold on, let's,
She do what she-
yeah, I know there's side discussion, but let's clarify the motions, just to be
Okay.
sure that we've got it on the record. So Anthony's making a motion to have the co-chairs of the Affordable Housing Commission be able to meet with the first select woman of Old Lyme for the specific task of understanding and proposing the commission's proposal on Bill 6944.
or interest in Bill 6944 and the impact on the town and the
And
potential
the impact on the town, okay?
I
Does
would
it,
probably put advisory capacity in that. That's what I originally did. So they have the chairs, the co-chairs meet in an advisory capacity.
all right, well, we have to have a clear motion, so, okay, so
Okay.
that was the motion. And then do we have a second on that motion? And then we can discuss the motion.
I second the motion.
Fred seconds the motion. Now, open for discussion. Should we clarify the motion, or are there any other comments around the motion?
One, Jen, and thanks, Anthony. That was well put. I might suggest that we expand the scope of that beyond 6944 and just open it up to raised bills affecting housing. including
I'll
694.
accept that. I'll accept that as a friendly amendment. It's a little casual, but I'll accept that. I think it's a good suggestion. I like that.
And the rationale behind that, Anthony, is during the communication, it leaves latitude to express support for the funding or the study group on starter homes.
No, I agree, Michael. I don't think I had a specific bill originally, so I'm glad you spoke up in favor. I was just using that language because it was suggested. I agree 100% with you. It should be a little bit more open. I think it's an excellent point. Thank you. And I accept it.
So to clarify, Michael, that would be to allow the chairpersons of the Affordable Housing Commission to meet with the select woman, so that would be Martha, or could it be the Board of Selectmen, to discuss 6944 and any other bills put forth with regard to affordable housing in the state of Connecticut.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Michael, this is Anthony. Just a quick thing. I like it. I don't like the reference to the particular bill and others because sometimes when you mention it, they just focus in on it as opposed to a broader issue as you first articulated it. I like the way you articulated it without a bill number so they don't get fascinated about a particular bill, and it opens up a more forum with more flexibility to talk about various things, although that bill being brought up a couple of others. I don't like a specific bill. In the motion, it should be more general, like I think you originally said, Michael. I agree with that.
Yeah, my only thing with that, Anthony, is that now we're going around, like, because I can talk to Martha at any time that I want to call her. I could call, text, and email her at any time that I want. So I could discuss anything with her at any time. So my only point would be is as far as this commission goes, the Affordable Housing Commission, is that if we're making a motion to discuss a specific topic that we want a resolution on, should it not be that we are directing her to our attention to focus on this particular bill, and as Michael said, perhaps any other bill in this kind of trajectory, or this this vibe of these things, 60, 69, 29, 2, 6944, whatever. But it just seems like I could talk to Martha or Jude or Jim Lampos at any time and do anything, but to have it go forth as an Affordable Housing Commission joint effort, and us as a team proposing this, it would be in our interest to say that the Affordable Housing Commission as a team is going forward and to talk to you about this. That's my only thing. I wanted to make it a little bit more specific than maybe what, Anthony, you're giving a little leeway to, is like, we can talk to them about anything at any time. So.
Well, you see, the thing I'm
What
trying
this
to
does, Jen, is gives you the weight of the commission.
So Jen, you could talk to them anytime, but that would be your personal opinion.
Right.
And this is a motion for you to speak on behalf of the commission.
Right.
That's the difference.
Right. Yeah. Well, I just wanted to make that clear that this is our commission's proposal, not just, somebody having a conversation on the side hallway.
And I would say you have that conversation just with Martha, because if you involve the other two at the same, then they have to post it as a meeting because the selectmen have quorum.
Right.
Okay.
And it could also take the form of you going to getting on the agenda of the Board of Selectmen.
Right. So let's rethink then the proposal. So we're still in discussion on this motion. So let's kind of firm this up now. So the original motion was to have the Affordable Housing Commission representative meet with a select woman, which would be Martha, and to delve into the bill 6944 and quote any other bills related to that. Um, so let's drill this down and just get a very clarifying position on this.
Jen, I have to step away for 30, 60 seconds, but I'll be back for the vote. You can wordsmith away.
Go ahead, Mike. All right, so what do we want to, so if we're like faced, let's just say we're here, Board of Selectmen is there, what do we want to say to them as far as, this bill is concerned?
Well,
We're
we
talking
had a
about the fair
motion.
share quota.
Jen, we had a motion and a second. You have a motion. This is not, it's not a ad hoc committee. We're not in the committee of the whole talking about it. I know it's nice to do that, but we have to focus in on, you can vote it up, you can vote it down, you can propose changes to the original motion.
No, we have
But-
Anthony, we have a motion and a second, and then there's discussion, and the discussion will change whatever the motion was. So we're in the discussion phase right now.
Okay, well, okay. Discussion phase means you speak in favor of it or against the motion. That's the way it's done on the parliamentary procedure to keep the proceedings clear. And then you can use various techniques to, amend it. They call them secondary amendments. I'm trying to do it more casual by accepting what Michael said. So speak for or against it. If you don't like it, call for a vote and vote it down, and someone else can make another motion.
No,
I mean, that's, you dispose of it quickly, and then someone else can make a different motion. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
there's nothing here. I mean,
No,
it's just beating us to death.
No, we're not beating it to get death, Anthony.
Oh, my
What
word,
I'm trying to get to is what exactly is, if you were faced with the Board of Selectwomen today, what would you say that we are proposing to her? That I don't get what the actual proposal is. Why are we actually having a conversation with her? We need to make it crystal clear why we are taking up her time. So give me the number one thing why we're meeting with her, other than to say that we are opposed to 6944.
I made a motion and I thought it was clear, but that's, again, subject.
No, you
to-
made a motion to meet with the select woman. So,
No, I mean, it was more to the motion than that, and there was one speaker to open it up and not be specific to a bill number, which was accepted as a friendly amendment, although that, but I don't know who wrote down the motion, but that's okay. I mean, like I said, it's the motion, it's on the floor. If you want to call for a vote and vote it up and down, you can write another motion. I mean, we spent a long time. It's pretty straightforward. You just want to basically say in an advisory capacity that the Affordable Housing Commission is asking, requesting, or directing the two co-chairs to meet with the first select person to discuss, the question was whether or not we do a specific bill, or whether or not we talk about
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Oh,
EDC meeting has completed, so we're leaving the building, and I'm gonna lock the two doors near the meeting hall. And you're
Okay.
locking the middle door here.
yes.
Do you want me to lock all the doors, and then
but that's it.
There's someone in the room, Jen.
you can, just no one can come in? Do you want me to leave the middle door unlocked, the way you had planned?
There's an administrative matter about the city hall being closed down.
Yes, yes, but I'm gonna lock the meeting hall door, so we're gone. Thank you, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem.
All right, I know, you're probably going to get cut off of your telecon per Katie at 6:30, which is 6 minutes from now. So what I understand is that, and let's just see, totally appreciate all that. So, a meeting with the select woman would be beneficial for Fred and I to do that, to to make sure she understands all of the background information on the Fair Share Act, what we're referring to as 6944, and that we have some concerns about that. And the motion that is still pending is that a motion to have us meet with the Fred and I to meet with the select woman to make sure that she understands the ramifications of 6944 and other related bills. So, if this, let's just go with this, that this requires a motion. We have a second. And any other further discussion on this motion that was put forth by Anthony and seconded by Lori, sorry. Okay, hearing no discussion, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Please say no. Okay, the motion carries.
Jen, can I, before we conclude the meeting, can I just say, bring up one new matter?
Of course.
Okay. I think you have brought this up, the Halls Road Redevelopment Committee has this overlay district, and we don't know if it's gonna be passed or fail or anything. But I think you suggested that to the extent any new housing is being produced, that we request that similar to the open space, a certain percentage to be devoted to affordable housing. Is that a fair recitation of what you were thinking?
Oh, yeah, those are my personal concerns, yes.
So is this, so I'm gonna open up to discussion.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I have some.
Freddie,
thoughts.
are you asking about an inclusionary affordable housing provision in the
Yes.
in the HRRD?
Yeah,
It's in there.
it's already in there. What does it say?
There's it's still under discussion. That the hearing is open. And since I'm on the zoning commission, I'm not going to offer an opinion on this, but in the current Halls Road overlay proposal,
There it is.
it includes 10%. It includes a 10% inclusionary provision, so that any housing that's built
Excellent.
under
Thank you.
the overlay regulations have to include 10%.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I have a comment on this, but you're right, I agree 100% with you, Michael, on this. But just a word of caution, because I read a lot of stuff and I hear things, but this is not my opinion, I believe this is the law, and I'm gonna give you an example. So, in the city of Milford, a diner goes out of business. Not a big one, regular diner, a little parking area, okay? Developer buys it, does an 8-30G, doesn't care what the zone is, doesn't care about overlays, and says he's gonna build 86 apartments on a plot of land that a diner would sit on with their parking. My point is, this idea that you can restrict housing to senior housing or this kind of housing, it depends on the money you touch, and it depends on a developer coming in, and they can do whatever they want by dropping an 8-39G. Now, the Affordable Housing Commission could say, well, that's great, that's a 30% set aside, probably for about 60%, or 60 to 80, which is middle class housing, but it could be lower than that, and some of those numbers get into Section 8. My point is that this community and none of our official bodies here have any control whatsoever on what a developer may or may not do once you open that door. And I don't hear people being cautious about the kind of housing. It's portrayed as being locked in by some kind of regulations or zoning, and we know that's not the case under state law. And I don't think that's an opinion, I think it's state law, and it happens all the time. So you gotta be careful. I'm not for or against, I'm not talking that the overlay, but I'm just saying that as Affordable Housing Commission, 8-30G is a tool that the state's relied on very heavily since 1991, I think.
So, good comment, agree. We may get cut off in some way at 6:30. I'm not sure what that's about, but,
Yeah, Katie set the meeting up until from 5 to 6:30. So just warning, it may not happen. Let's just see.
so, I think we should make an motion to adjourn.
Yeah, I think this is a great conversation, and we have certainly definitely a great topic to carry on to our next meeting, and perhaps we may have a special meeting in between our next meeting, because I think there's some topics here that we can really get into before our April meeting. So Fred and I will put our heads together and let's see what happens. But in the meantime, our next meeting is scheduled for April 2nd. And hopefully everybody can attend. And if anybody has any further agenda items that they wish to submit, just let me know. But otherwise, I will make a motion to adjourn for tonight.
I'll second it. That was
Oh,
Anthony.
is all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, meeting adjourned.